Hey! Welcome back to the Basic Flag Build Series here on JC Builds. If you haven't seen the first video in this series, click the card here. Last week, we learned how to take some basic tools and turn $20 worth of wood into a high-quality American flag. This week, we're going to go into detail on the best techniques that I found in burning your wood and adding color if you want a thin line flag or a red, white, and blue one. So let's dive in. If you plan on making just a burned American flag, we're going to burn dark on the red stripes in the Union, and we're going to burn light on the white stripes. This will give it that rustic or distressed look that's so desirable. The easiest burns to do are the red stripes in the Union. It requires less technique, but you still have to pay attention to what you're doing because we want a nice dark, even burn all the way across. All the dark stripes in Union need to match for the best overall quality for our flag. So let's start burning.
Bang! 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 Bang!
Now that we got the technique for the dark burns, let's go ahead and move on to the light burns. In my opinion, burning the lighter stripes is the most important part about making these flags. It requires the most technique and really brings out the wood grain, adding character and making each flag unique. And remember, any part of the flag that you plan on adding color to is going to be a light burn. I recommend practicing on some scrap wood before you jump into the final burn. There are a few ways you could burn the light stripes. I prefer to keep everything smooth and consistent, so we're going to burn like the dark stripes, but we're going to move a lot faster. I like to start each stripe with a good burn on the edges. We don't want to burn as dark as the Union or the red stripes, we just want to create some contrast on the ends. Doing this creates a dark edge all the way around the flag, and in my opinion it makes it more appealing because it forms a nice border and creates separation from the wall it gets hung on. It's okay if on the first pass with the torch nothing changes. The second pass will certainly bring out the grain. We don't want to burn these too dark because we want to keep the contrast between the dark and the light stripes. Here, you can see the difference between the light and the dark stripes. Perfect. Now that we have a pretty good idea on burning our stripes for our distressed flag, we can go ahead and assemble the pieces for our stars. But today, we're going to add some color to our flag. I've tried a lot of ways with adding color, from stains, dyes, and paints. But what I found works best for me is spray paint. You have much more control on how light and dark you can make the colors, and it's a lot faster than stains and dyes. We're going to start by grabbing our already burned light stripe. Remember, only the lightly burned stripes will get color. We're going to go lay this down in an area that we have prepped for paint. This is going to get messy, so you're going to want to have some drop cloth, some cardboard, or some boards that we have set up over here. Just like with the burns, we want consistency. We want to work in light coats, because you can always add more paint, but you can't take any off. We're trying to avoid having drips or pooling of paint on the wood. We want to hold our spray can 6 to 10 inches away from our stripe and just start off on one end and bring it all the way across and extend it over the opposite end, just like how we burned it. This technique keeps everything even and consistent. Notice how the paint doesn't cover the burnt wood grains, but really brings them out. Here we have a nice red stripe. We could use this as a thin red line, but today we're going to use this for a red, white, and blue flag. For this flag, the top 7 strips will be divided in color to make the Union and the top stripes for this flag. But first, let's finish the bottom red and white stripes. That'll be one color per board. Since this coat is so thin and the wood is probably still warm, the paint will dry in about 3 to 5 minutes. Now that we're done with the solid pieces, we're going to prep the top 7 pieces for the Union. Let's grab our tape measure and measure over 14 3/4 inches. Then we'll use our speed square and make a line on all 7 stripes. Now let's take some painter's tape and tape off the stripe sections, leaving our Union open for paint. we peeled off the painter's tape and we have the boards out there drying in the sun right now. Once that's dry, we're going to bring it in and retape, covering up all the blue, getting as close to that line as we can to make the sharpest line possible. Everything is dry and we're almost done. We're going to assemble our flag just like we did in last week's video. Now that everything's painted and pieced together, you should be seeing how this flag is going to turn out. And so far it's looking great. Now it needs the stars. Use the stencil I showed from last video and clamp it down using wooden blocks to protect the face of the flag from damage when using the clamps. At this point in time, you can either trace the stars and cut them out with a Dremel or paint them. If you decide to paint the stars like we're going to do, be sure to use something to weigh the stencil down. The air from the spray can can lift the stencil, causing the paint to spray under it and creating some overspray. This will take away from the sharp edges of your stars. After the stars are painted, we'll let them dry and get ready for the final step of sealing the flag with polyurethane. What I found that works best is using sponge brushes when adding to polyurethane. You want a smooth finish, and bristle brushes tend to leave brush strokes. I also think satin poly looks the best, but I've seen some awesome work with gloss and even epoxy finishes, but that's for another video. You can see this flag turned out amazing. This will be a great piece to add to the wall decor in your home. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments below, or just let me know what you're working on in your workshop. If you want a chance to win this flag, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment flag in the comments below. We'll have a random drawing and pick the winner on August 1st. All the equipment and tools we used to build this flag are linked in the description below. And thank you again for watching another episode of JC Builds, and we'll see you next week. Finger guns.